friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another speed build video. This one's gonna be longer. I've done it, you guys. I built a high school and here she is in all her glory. I really like the way that this turned out. I think it is gonna be fun to play and I haven't had a chance to actually play in it yet, but I will be very soon. I watched a lot of build videos at this point that are just incredible, amazing high school builds, and I'm just like, I literally could never. However, I do really like the way that mine turned out. I'm pretty proud of it, and I hope that you enjoy watching me build it. And if you are interested in downloading it to play in it as well, as always, it is going to be on the gallery for you guys. I did not make my high school incredibly fancy. A lot of people have done like academies and stuff like that, which is super fun, but I decided to go with just you know, your regular boring high school that maybe like has been there for a while, has been around for a while, doesn't have a huge massive budget for landscaping and stuff like that. It is also inspired by or like loosely based on the high school that I actually went to. When I was first building it, I was like really trying to fully recreate my high school, but as you may see, while this lot is big, it was not big enough to actually do that, so it became more of just me going off of my regular high school and then just going rogue and figuring out the rest for myself because I had to make some stuff up. I also changed the school's colors because my school colors were maroon and white, and honestly that is just kind of lame. Our mascot was also unironically the Wildcats, so that's fun. And then the basic structure of this build was starting with the general exterior layout and then moving on to the interior floor plan, just adding in rooms and deciding where everything was going to be inside. Then after that, went back through and did all the basics for all the rooms, like adding in furniture. And lastly, I went back through and did like full decorations, full clutter, all the design items that I wanted to have inside the building. And then lastly, finished up with some basic landscaping on the outside. This build took me probably like 5 or 6 hours of actual time, so this video is probably going to be quite long. I cut it down and sped it up as much as I possibly could while it was still watchable, so it is going to be a pretty long one, but I am going to put some timestamps on this one for you, so if you want to, you can skip around. If you have like a favorite part of building videos that you want to watch, you can skip around to wherever you want to see the most, and hopefully that'll be helpful because this is gonna be a long one, you guys. I'm so sorry. So looking back at the build, I kind of have the general exterior done at this point. So what I did was I put like a central courtyard in the middle there. My school actually had this. We had this like central courtyard in the middle, and then all of the buildings surrounded it, and that's where all the classrooms and offices and all sorts of different rooms were for the entire school. So I went based off of that. It was actually pretty nice. We were able to like eat lunch out on that courtyard, and it was just generally a nice like aesthetic area for all the students to have. I also went through on that left-hand side, you saw me building a like fake tennis court. So all of our athletic buildings were on the left. That domed building I built over there, that's going to be a gym. Our basketball gym had a domed roof like that. I really wish that in The Sims you could actually have domed roofs that when you looked up at them they would actually be domed, but unfortunately that's not the case, so we'll have to use the imagination a little bit because it actually will not function for playing basketball if you were actually trying to play in those low ceilings, but that's okay. So this entrance area, I'm just adding in some covered porch style area here with archways. That way if you're waiting to be picked up from school and it's raining, you're not getting just completely soaked out in the rain out front. And when they arrive in the morning as well, I have a little bit of a covered area that I'm going to add seating and stuff in so they're not just sort of like crowding around, which, let's be honest, it's The Sims, so they probably are just going to crowd around, but that's okay. That's okay. We're using a little bit of imagination for this one. And then the two-story buildings on the right-hand side, those are going to be the areas for classes, the library, the cafeteria, and more. So those are all kind of like the buildings where the magic happens for the school. On the front here, we have this tower on the front in the middle, which is very reminiscent of my actual school. We had this octagonal tower right in the front of the building, which was pretty cool looking. And then right inside, this is where we'll have the offices, so the front office, reception area, other administrative offices, and then the buildings at the back of the courtyard, those are going to be for electives like art, music, chess club, all that stuff. Also, when I first started building this, I tried to use a lot of the items just from the high school pack, but unfortunately, I did end up using a lot of other pack items as well. I used a lot of the get to work pack items, and then I really was just like, oh well, at this point I'm already using other packs, so I'm just not gonna have pack restrictions, so I ended up not doing that. So if you're downloading this and you have pack restrictions, I apologize in advance that I did not really hold back. And then I decided to add these like covered walkways along the courtyard area as well. That way, again, if it's raining, you're not like getting soaked when you're going to class. I also finished off the exterior with the brick and this nice blue trim because, like I said, I did make the school colors blue and yellow. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make the school colors like pretty bright and colorful because why not? When else do you get to use like blue and yellow as like an actual style for your building? So now that we've kind of finished off the exterior with the trim and the bricks and everything and made it actually look nice, I moved on to making the courtyard. So I wanted to give some types of, you know, plants and make it a nice little landscaped area for the students. So I put in these little planter boxes, just using the little fencing that we got with this pack that's actually supposed to be like a roof trim, I think, but it works pretty well for planter boxes as well. And then I just put in these trees. It took me a second to figure out which trees I wanted, so I moved it around a little bit. I tried using this oak tree and then I was like, okay, this is like way too big. We have to change that. So I ended up just using these same trees over and over again, but honestly, I feel like that kind of tracks. And then had to go back through, move everything and delete all of the flooring underneath it so that I could like go back in and put plants in there. Very tedious stuff, but you know what? We got it done. We got it done. And then I went back and put little like fencing around all of the pathing so it was a little more like blocked off. And then as we've discussed before, I always like putting in these little planter beds and just layering all the flowers and stuff, so did get to do that in this a little bit, not so much as I do in maybe some of my other builds, but we did get to do a little bit of landscaping and designing in this one, which I thought was pretty fun. I imagine in reality they probably have like gardeners that come and handle all of this, but honestly I feel like sometimes at schools they just kind of like let the plants happen and maybe don't care too much about how the plants are looking. And now I'm just going back through and I'm gonna add in like doors and windows, and it took me a second to decide what I wanted to do because I was like, okay, but do I want the windows to be fancy or do I want it to be just kind of like, you know, your boring school windows? And I did end up going with boring school windows. On the front, I gave some more fancy ones, so the facade on the front would be nice looking, but ultimately the rest of the school is just kind of like a little janky. You know how schools go. You know how it is. Now I started to add in the offices on the side, and I'm not going to go into this too much right now because I am going to move them eventually, you will see. And this also, so my school had this like circular desk in the middle, like right in the front, which I was trying to recreate, but then it just ended up like not really working out, so I ended up moving that as well. So we'll just ignore it for now, pretend it's not there. And then I'm just adding in this like front patio area. I was debating whether I wanted to do like a fountain, but then I was like, nah, it's fine. again, like, schools don't have a huge, massive budget for these type of things. I know we're in The Sims, but I was gonna try to make it a little realistic. And then I went in and now I'm doing the interior floor planning. So started with these stairwells here. Took me a second to get things sorted with those. And then I had to figure out how on earth I was going to fit a bunch of lockers in. Now, you will see by the end that my locker to student ratio is probably way off. Like, I just went for it with the lockers. Like I put in so many lockers, it's unbelievable. I also started off by doing a bunch of bathrooms in my interior floor planning. I don't know, because I haven't actually played in this high school, how much they're really gonna need this, but ultimately, like, you need a lot of bathrooms in schools, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need a lot of bathrooms. So I went with adding in quite a few. And then you can't really see here, but I do end up putting a nurse's office here. I was originally thinking like, oh, let's make like a trainer for like the athletic trainer and then a separate nurse's office. But when I started building it, I was like, no, just one big office will be fine. Okay, here you will see me do a very weird time skip because it turns out I built this gym and I didn't actually look at how big the basketball court was before I built the gym, and then I realized, wow, this is actually way too small. So then I had to make it like way bigger because I was like, okay, this is actually not gonna fit. And then it took me a million years to actually redo that, and then I had to move the entire fake tennis court that I built, and it was like a whole thing and I hated it. But we got there. We got there in the end. We got everything to fit, and the little building behind it is actually like the locker room. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually just design the basketball court now. I did go with the color scheme, the blue and white color scheme that I'm going for the whole school with. And finally putting in some lights, because in my usual fashion, I just like don't put lights in when I'm building, and I'm actually so sorry for that because y'all deserve lights and I did not give you any, and you really needed some when you were trying to watch me build this, but I apologize. You're gonna have to look in the dark. So now I'm just working on putting the locker room together. Also awkward, but I didn't have room for like men's and women's locker rooms, so they're sharing one, which probably isn't a good idea for a high school, but like, you know what? It's a Sims. It's The Sims, so it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. And then this room over here is like a weight room. My school had like a weight room attached to the gym, and then there was like the locker rooms outside of it, so I kind of just like tried to recreate that. You know how it goes. And this is where I was like going a little bit rogue because I was meaning to just do like the floor plan first, but then I just started putting in furniture, so you know, it's okay. It's fine. I ended up like basically doing the entire gym. These are my little bleachers. I wish I could actually make bleachers. If I had more room, I would make like platforms so that they could actually be bleachers, but as per usual, I've run out of space, so it's fine. And here I was just taking like every single item from Get to Work pretty much because it was all what I wanted for the nurse's office, and putting in a little, this nurse, like, they can do it all. They can really do it all. There's a whole IV station, a whole hospital bed. If you are sick at this school, you will be well taken care of. Know that. And then now I worked on putting in the floor plan for the elective buildings. So this is where there's gonna be the chess room, the art room, and then the band hall eventually. And then slowly realizing everything was too small, so making it all wider so I could fit lockers plus a hallway. And this is where I really leaned into the idea of like, there are way too many lockers in this school, like more lockers than you could ever need for The Sims. But like, I feel like schools have lockers on basically like all the walls. Like, am I wrong? I don't know. I feel like usually there's a lot of students, so you really have to fill those walls with lockers. Maybe not so much in The Sims, but like, for me, it was a thing, definitely. Then that's the layout for the library upstairs, and then downstairs, this is the layout for the cafeteria. Now my school did actually have these like windows into the cafeteria, just like inside the building. So I was like, we're doing it, we're putting it in. And then I wanted to make a small sort of room for the actual cafeteria, people that are working in the cafeteria, so they had a little bit of like a kitchen of sorts, which I do actually end up moving later, but for now, that's where it is. And then I went on to actually design where all the classrooms were, and I decided to put a hallway down the middle, because I feel like that's typically how schools are. They have like hallway with locker rooms down the middle, and then the classrooms are on either side. So as a result, my classrooms are a little bit skinny, but they're still functional, so it's fine. More bathrooms, of course. As I mentioned before, you've got to have a lot of bathrooms. And honestly, I feel like especially in The Sims, because they're very prone to just like peeing themselves. Like they just like won't go to the bathroom, and then they're like, oh no, and then there's like way too far away, and then they walk super slowly, and then they just like pee their pants. Is this just a problem for my Sims? Maybe, but I feel like it's a pretty universal problem. So this room here is what I'm designing as like a theater room. Gameplay wise, I don't know that this will ever get used, but I had a lot of fun designing it. I was like, I'm gonna just like put in a whole theater. So I messed around with the platforms. There's a little stage, and then I make like platforms for the seating as well. In this school, the theater classroom is just like fully a theater. Like you are going into that class and you're stepping into the theater when you're heading in there. I think it's a pretty neat idea. If you have Sims that aspire to be an actor or something, they can go to this class. And then I found this carpet from the Dine Out pack, and I was like, this is it. This is the carpet. I feel like every school has just like an obnoxiously patterned carpet for no reason, just like in all the classrooms. Also, you will see the flooring change a lot and skip around a lot. I can't even begin to tell you how long it took me to choose the flooring that I was putting in this build, because I was like, I want to use the new tiles, but do I use them everywhere? Do I just use like linoleum? I feel like a lot of schools have just like linoleum floors everywhere. But then I was like, no, this is kind of boring and it looks very like clinical. So then I was like, no, we're gonna use the tiles. And then I was like, I want to use like fun designs because they have these little corner pieces. It was a whole thing. We went back and forth. We were going through it. But you will see the floors laid out eventually. I don't know that you'll actually see me make the floors, but like, know that a lot of thought and time went into these floors. And now I'm choosing which room's actually gonna be the functional classrooms. I ended up realizing like, I can really only have like 6 desks in each of them, so I adjusted the size of the room a little bit so that the 2 functional classrooms would actually be reasonably sized. I do have quite a few fake classrooms happening in here as well. And this room's gonna be the computer lab, which I think will be functional as well, so I think it was probably a good call to like make that work. And then this room is upstairs. This is going to be one of the functional classrooms, so it is going to be a little bit less decorated than others, but it should work. And then downstairs again, this is another one of the classrooms that should actually function for the gameplay. I also originally used those desks for all the teachers' desks, but then I realized I think that's the only desk that works as a principal's desk, which to me feels like the least principal-y desk that there is, but whatever. Okay, so like now the floor is going in, I'm changing the walls. I decided this was like a much better vibe. I felt like it was very clinical before with like the white walls, and I wanted it to be a little more cozy, or not even cozy, but just more like welcoming, I guess. So I ended up going with this. And then here I am making fun designs on the floor. Know that if you're going to do this with your floor, it's going to take you quite some time. This video is in like 8 times speed, so you can imagine how long it actually took me in real life time. But eventually I did get all the flooring in, and I think it actually turned out really, really nice. I think it's pretty welcoming and very schoolish. I also used the new tile in the bathrooms as well. I just went with like one red, one blue. And then I decided this room here was going to be the teacher's lounge, so I'm putting in some furniture for them. I feel like the teacher's lounge has like a couch and stuff, but it's like not a very comfortable couch. It's like not very welcoming. And of course they have to have a coffee pot. I mean, what teacher's lounge doesn't, you know? I also decided to give the teachers a wood floor. I was like, you know what? They deserve it. Just adding in mirrors for all the bathrooms. And then I went on to design the computer lab, which I feel like computer labs typically just have like the plainest desk possible with just computers on all of them. Like that's basically it. That's like all it is. So I was like, how do I make this a little bit more decorated than that? And also this is a very long and skinny room, so it took me a second to figure out how to actually like design this, because I wanted to fit in as many desks as possible without it being like blocked off. So I ended up having to like move the doors around a bunch and kind of figure that out, but I think we got there in the end. There's probably like 10 or so computers in here, I think. I don't know, someone count them. There might be 8. I might be lying to you. And then I also end up using these cubbies a lot. I feel like this is maybe more of like an elementary school thing, but I kind of feel like, you know, and sometimes in schools they have like cubbies where you put your bag and stuff while you're in class. I don't think that was really the case in high school. It was more of like a younger thing, but it took up wall space, so it's fine. I also made a couple of fake science classes. So one is just like the science classroom, and then the second room over here is like a science lab that I'm making, and I decided to make it with these, because you know how science classes, they always have those black desks, like those specific black desks that every science class has, always, forever, or at least where I grew up. So I wanted to make a science class with that. I know it's like literally not functional in the slightest for gameplay, but like, it has to be there. It has to be in the school. And then this is just like another fake lab. This is why I ended up using a lot of the get to work items, because I mean, look at it. It's a science lab. And schools have science labs. It would be kind of fun if they could use this though, you know? Like going through and like doing science stuff while they're at school. Not that there's really time for it in their day. This room's really more just for decoration. Honestly, both of the science-themed rooms are kind of just for decoration, but I still had fun making them. And now moving on to building the rooms for electives. So this big one on the left is the band hall, and then the one in the middle is the art class, and the one on the right is the chess club. So basically the chess room just has a lot of chess tables in it. The art room I made a lot more colorful and bright, and put in some linoleum flooring because probably you don't want carpet in your art class. Just a thought. I also decided to combine the chess room with like a speech and debate style room because I feel like the types of people who are in the chess club might be into speech and debate as well. It's a good use to like have both of those rooms in the same space. Although I'm not gonna lie, if you were like playing chess, that might be kind of obnoxious just to have someone like debating in the background while you're like trying to focus on your chess match, but they're gonna have to just do it. They're gonna have to just do it. So for the art room, I just use like a bunch of easels, like all over the place, like so many easels. And then I also use the items from City Living where they can paint murals on the floor and on the wall. And of course had to give the art teacher like a very colorful desk, because you know, it's a colorful room. And then just like a bunch of cabinets and clutter for this room, because I kind of feel like the art room has that eclectic vibe. And then for the band hall, unfortunately there's not a whole lot of instruments in The Sims, especially like not many band instruments. So I just kind of, it's more of like a decorative, like fakey kind of band hall. So I put this little podium square where the conductor would stand and conduct the band. But there's also like all these chairs where the band would sit and watch them. And then really the only instruments that I could put there were like violins. And then I just put these like cubbies and I just sized them up so they'd be like instrument storage cubbies for the band students. And then I did put in guitars as well and a piano, which aren't really like super bandy instruments, but like it's really the only ones we have in The Sims, so might as well put them in, right? And now moving on to the cafeteria, more linoleum floor, classic. I also did move the room where the cafeteria itself is, which I will get to in a second. I also decided to change all of the wallpaper because I thought the more cream one was a little more cozy for the classrooms. And then in the lunchroom, I just have like the brick. Also giving the students vending machines because sometimes you just need a snack, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just need to pick me up in the middle of the day and lunch is already over and you're just like, I'm starving. So now I made the cafeteria and actually a little bit bigger where the actual cafeteria item is. That way there's a little bit more space for the students to grab everything. And there's a little entrance for the tiny, tiny little kitchen that the cafeteria workers will have. And then I originally was going to use the circular tables that came with the pack, but then I ended up deciding to use these ones. I think these are from the toddler pack, but these felt more like high school to me. My school had these very just like long picnic tables essentially, like they were just like extremely long and just like 50 students could just sit at one really long table. So I went with that vibe instead. It felt more like home to me for school. And then I went back into the entrance and decided to make the front office. Like I said before, I did originally have that like circular desk in the middle, but then I was like, this is not gonna work. Not gonna work for gameplay. So I moved everything over. So there's a little like front desk where the receptionist would sit, and then the principal's office is behind there. So if you get in trouble, you have to like awkwardly wait in that front desk area. Kind of scary. So of course the front desk receptionist, they've got lots of files, they've got bookshelves, of computer, of course. And then here's a little scary waiting area for when you have to go talk to the principal. Now principal gets a little bit more grand of an office, but then again, like this desk, it's not giving principal to me. It's very much like just a regular desk. I feel like the principal would have a very grand desk, you know what I mean? I did give them grand flooring though. I also updated these doors because I feel like lots of schools have those like double doors that you like push open. And then more fun flooring down here. I'm also adding a little bit more furniture into the nurse's office as well. And now putting all the furniture in for the library. There's gonna be just like a front desk for the librarian, and then obviously like a ton of bookshelves, like so many bookshelves. More than you could honestly really need. I don't even think that the library is functional for the high school gameplay, but it does feel like something a school would have, you know? And then I also put in some desks because there's gonna be like a singular study area and then some group study tables as well, because I feel like you do, like in school, sometimes you go to the library either with like a study group or with like, sometimes your class will go there and have like a class session where you like are in the library and you'll have to like work on stuff, and it's kind of awkward. I don't know how much my Sims will be in this room if I'm actually playing in the high school, but it's honestly one of my favorite ones. I feel like the library is just like very aesthetic. And I also just went through and changed all the roofs to be darker, like metal. And then I also adjusted this room and decided to make it into a conference room for the faculty. Again, like, definitely not a functional room, but here we are. And now we're moving on to the final phase of the build, which is going and putting clutter in all the rooms, because it's something we desperately need to make this actually look like a functional high school that's not just like a shell. So all the desks are getting little cutesy items, lots of wall art is going up, lots of just like banners. I use the same banner over and over again because I feel like you do see that in schools. It's like they've got their banner with their school's logo and it's on like every single wall. The principal is getting awards, obviously. Lots of files, again, from Get to Work. I mean, I used a lot of Get to Work items in this. I think some of this is from university as well. I think a lot of the university items were kind of a crossover for this pack as well. And then this I'm making into the guidance counselor's office, so I try to make it very like zen and chill, like you would go there if you need help, you know? So I did give them like inspirational posters on the wall. The conference room, pretty basic. I did find these flags though, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely putting those outside, 100%. They do have a giant TV in here and then a very basic looking poster and painting. I also use these like no cell phone posters a lot because I feel like you might see that in a school. More get to work items in the nurse's office. They even have an x-ray thing, which like, absolutely not. There's no way that would be in your nurse's office, but it's in this one. So like I said, if you get hurt, if you were injured at school, this nurse has got you. I went back and made the lockers yellow in the locker room because I was like, the new theme for the school is blue and yellow, so we're going with it. I also use those banners a lot in the gym. I feel like a lot of schools will have like banners for like championships that they've won, and in the gym they'll be like hanging. There'll be like 18 of them, and they're like, look at all these years that we've won. We need to win the next ones. You know how they go. You know how it is. And then obviously there's trophy cases in the front as well. You have to. In the cafeteria, which is like basic stuff, I just put like paper towels. I did replace that kitchen with just like a shelving of like pre-prepped food though, because I feel like that's more appropriate. And then a banner for just like keeping it green. In the library, we've got that classic Together poster. I know it's not in English, but you know that poster says Together, 100%. Every school has it, doesn't matter if it's a high school or middle school or elementary school, they have that Together poster, probably in multiple places. In the library, I just put like a lot of books, just like so many books, and again, that like no texting poster, because I feel like you would see that in a library specifically. Just some casual seating in the hallway, but I think that's the only place that I put seating in the hallways. I didn't want to fill it up too much. The teacher's lounge just got a very basic painting, and then I used these posters a lot. This room I decided to make into kind of like a social studies, science, like earth sciences classroom, I suppose. So we're learning about like the water cycle, there's plants on the window, very like earth-centric classroom in there. And then in this room, because it's not a functional classroom, I decided to decorate it a bit more than I did with the other ones. So I put like books and study items on like all the desks, and I put the backpacks everywhere because I feel like in high school, like you take your backpack everywhere with you and you just like bring it with you to class and you just like set it down the side of the desk where you're sitting. So I filled it all up in there. And then this room is one of the actual functional classrooms. I'm designing this one like it's a math class, and I again put the backpacks in there, but I tried to keep things out of the way in here and didn't want to like interfere with the desk space too much because I did not want to make it not function. Because as we know, like The Sims, like she works, but sometimes if you decorate a little too hard, she just doesn't work anymore. So you have to be a little bit careful, I think, sometimes when you're decorating. For the theater room, I just put like a bunch of movie posters, and that was basically it. I mean, what more do you need in a theater room, really? And then I also used these cubbies again and put like backpacks in them and books and all this. This is another one of the functional classrooms. This one I'm designing is kind of like a language arts style classroom. So there's gonna be a lot of like bookshelves. It's kind of cozy. More that you'd see in like a language arts classroom rather than like a STEM classroom. The Together poster again, of course. And then in my fake science classroom, of course, we've got the periodic table, classic, and lots of other science-y posters. And then I found this cute bookshelf, which I thought was like very good for this room. I also gave the teachers a lot of like string lights. I tried to design it a little bit of like, you know how teachers are allowed to design their classrooms in the way that they want to? So sometimes it's got a little bit of like the teacher's personality built in as well. So that's why in that earth classroom, they had like plants on the windows as the drapes and stuff. So I tried to design it a little bit like that, but not too much so that it didn't work again. More bathrooms, basic. I did make the science classroom a little bit bigger because it was like very squished. Even though it's not functional, I was like, okay, but I still want it to like look good though, you know? we didn't need that many bathrooms, you know? While I was doing this too, I realized like I feel like there's a lot more science posters than there are of anything else. And I was like, this kind of sucks because this is the only classroom that isn't actually functional and all the science posters are going in there. For the computer lab, I just kept it kind of basic. I didn't put too much on the wall. I feel like computer labs are pretty like standard, like they're not really that decorated. I just put like the school banner in there really, and then filled up these cubbies with more things. I did find this basketball trophy while I was doing it though, and I was like, okay, no, this is definitely going in the gym, and I'm only filling up the shelves halfway because it's like we have to continue winning the championships in the future if we want to fill up these posters, if we want to fill up the shelves with our trophies. More science posters in the fake science lab. Again, why are there so many science posters and nothing else? For the chess room, I mean, obviously we put the chess trophy and I put the speech and debate one that came with the university pack because I had combined those rooms. For the art classroom, I just went with like obviously a lot of art. I put a lot of those like canvases that came, I think with like the city living pack maybe, or maybe it was like eco lifestyle, but just all those ones where it's like leaning up against the wall and then just try to make the room like incredibly colorful and just like vibing. For the band hall, went with just like music themed posters. I did switch out some of the cubbies for lockers so you can lock up your instrument if you need to, and then I used these wall panels. I think they're just like wooden, but I tried to make it look as if they were like soundproof panels because I feel like most band halls have soundproofing panels in them because like obviously it's gonna be quite loud in there. And then back out in the central courtyard, I just put a bunch of tables and benches. Like I said, when I was in high school, we were allowed to eat lunch in the courtyard, which was pretty nice. I don't know if that will be functional for this game, but maybe. I don't think they have to stay in the cafeteria when they're eating lunch, so maybe they could come out here for lunch during their lunch hour instead. I also just added in some lights because I realized like if they're ever here after dark, like they're not gonna be able to see anything, so maybe let's put lights in on the outside. And then the last little section here was just going through and putting in the basic landscaping on the outside. I didn't want to make it too excessive. I maybe could have gone a little bit harder, but I kind of feel like I said in the beginning, I don't feel like a lot of schools have a huge budget for like landscaping, so I didn't want to make it like too excessive. I feel like they just have basic bushes, like that's basically it. I did add a bunch of solar panels on the roof because I do notice a lot of schools when you drive past these days, they have got like a solar panel farm, at least where I am, on the outside of the school that hopefully is like powering the school. I feel like you need a lot of solar panels, but like hopefully it's helping making the schools a little bit more eco-friendly because I feel like, you know, schools are going to be using a lot of electricity. And then I put Frank, the mascot, here in the middle of the grass. I mean, he's kind of an icon at this point, and just put bushes around him with like the colors of the school on the bushes. And for the rest of the landscaping, I really just tried to use what it looked like around here, like the way that they had landscaped the rest of the world where the school was, so I could try to make it like match, because I didn't want it to like stand out too much if I did this landscaping and then it just looked nothing like the landscaping that was around it. I feel like it would kind of stick out, so I tried to use what they had already done with the exterior of the build and then add in my own on the lot itself. I also put some trees in front of the tennis court because I felt like it was kind of sticking out a little bit, like maybe we should hide that just a tad. It's kind of just like a lot for a non-functional tennis court to just be chilling right here. And then I did make this front entrance a little bit bigger because I had heard that when they get to school in the morning, they kind of just like cluster outside. So I was like, maybe we'll put a little more room here. And then finally, we're just gonna do a walkthrough of the whole build. We're gonna go through it together. So this is the front office, the scary little room where you've got to wait for the principal. And then here's the principal's office himself. They've just got, it's pretty grand in there. Of course, we've got trophy cases in the middle here, and then going outside, we've got our fun little courtyard that everything is connected to, so you can really get to like any part of the school from the courtyard, which is pretty nice. And here's the guidance counselor's office. If you need a helping hand, they are here for you. They are gonna help you through whatever you need, whether it's going to college or just trouble with friends, they're here for you. This is the teacher-faculty conference room where they're having all their meetings. And then over here, we've got our cafeteria. I think this cafeteria is so cute. I think it really worked out. I like the way that it came together. Then heading up this stairwell here in the back, we have the library here on our left. So we've got individual study, we've got group study tables, and of course just like a ton of bookshelves for all your studying needs. Coming down the hall here, we've got obviously just a ton of lockers. Like I said before too, I think like the locker to student ratio may be a bit off, but I think we're gonna be okay. This is our teacher's lounge. It's pretty basic, but they've got coffee and a sort of boring painting, so like what more do they need really? And then this is our non-functional classroom, which we're calling like the geography or like social studies classroom, earth-centric classroom. Some bathrooms, of course. This is our theater classroom. We've got a whole little section for seating and then the stage here, so we can really, if you are learning the theater arts, you are in it to win it, you know? This is one of our functional classrooms. We're pretending that this is a math classroom. Like I said, not as decorated there, but that's for gameplay functionality. This is our fake science lab. She's looking cute. She's looking cute. She does not function at all, but look at her. She's gorgeous. This is our computer lab. Pretty basic again, but we've got a lot of computers. If you are learning to program, I mean, you are all over it in this room. This is our second functional classroom. This one is like a language arts style classroom. You're learning to read and decipher text. Another bathroom. And then heading out this angle door back into the courtyard, we are going to head into our elective rooms. This is the chess club and the speech and debate club room. If you were in the chess club, I mean, this is it for you. This is the best room. This is our art classroom. If you are artistic and you are painting, I mean, you're gonna love it here. It's very colorful. You can do it all in this room. And then lastly, this is our band hall. Sadly, like I said, not a lot of instruments in The Sims 4, but I think it still looks pretty good. Like, it still looks like a band hall, you know? And then come along back here, we are back at the nurse's office here. If you get hurt, you are in very good hands here. The nurses got all the equipment. If you do need to be sent to the hospital though, we can definitely handle that as well. And then heading out these back doors into the athletics area. So in here on our left-hand side, we've got the locker room. We've got bathrooms, we got showers, we got lockers, all the basics that you need in here. And then across the hall is our weight room. So when you are in a sport, you can really get fit because you need those muscles to be able to perform, you know how it is. And then out here is our tennis courts. If you're on the tennis team, I mean, you're gonna love this. There's a size down chain link fence as a net, so I mean, what more do you need really? And then this is the basketball court. Like I said, I wish that the roof would actually dome, because then it would actually make more sense as a basketball court, but we can all use our imaginations here. And that is the whole build, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun making it, although it did take me a long time. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, all those fun things. And if you do want to download this, it is going to be on the gallery. It's just Queen Char Games on there. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.